Hi everybody, how are you doing? Mimi gave me a bunch of books to read and this one looked like it was fun. Mrs. Noah's Vegetable Ark. Isn't that great? Look at all these great pictures. And here are their names. They're hard to see because they're over the pictures. Elena Pasquali, illustrated by Steve Lavis. And this one used to be a library book. I can tell that because it says a library here. There's an old library barcode, but it's stickered over, and there's a library call number here, and the P is for the author's last name, Pasquali. But I also know that it was bought at a book sale because there's a big line through the barcode. Usually we put a little note there or something, but anyway. Mrs. Noah's Vegetable Ark. Here's the rain. And look, the pumpkins are floating. And the tree is here. The tree is not in the ground. The tree is in a bag. Do you see that? The tree is in a bag, the way that the trees are wrapped up for movement. So here's the water's coming up, and here's the pumpkins. Arks are usually associated with floods. Not with pumpkins, with floods. Mrs. Noah's Vegetable Ark by Elena Pasquali, illustrated by Steve Lavis. Look at these great pictures. And here's Mrs. Noah. And she's planting, I think she's planting maybe a small lemon tree or something. Isn't that neat? There's the big ark, and there's Mrs. Noah. We're familiar with the Noah family, Noah and his wife, and Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and they were people who were saved by God on the ark. And here's Mrs. Noah. You rarely hear a story about Mrs. Noah. Here she is in her farm. What a huge farm. Can you see the fox? Can you see the fox? That guy's the fox. He's lying down. She has a watering can. I have a watering can like that. Looks like she's growing some beans over here, and all kinds of different crops. Let's go. Mrs. Noah muttered as she watered her vegetable garden. "It's so dry these days," she complained. "I never known it so dry." She looked up to where her husband was busy building his new project. "What on earth does Noah think he's doing, building an ark?" she asked out loud. "This place has never flooded. Although, we could use a bit of rain." Beautiful pictures. There's an apple tree, a pumpkin, some other crops. Oh, and here come the giraffes. There are the giraffes. Where do they go? There comes some giraffes. The rain didn't come, and Mrs. Noah's watering was worth the effort. This summer the beans ran up the poles, which is there, and the carrots grew so long that they almost lifted themselves out of the ground. The fruit on the trees grew plump and ripe, and on the trailing vine the pumpkins were magnificent. But how did those two rabbits get in and start nibbling on the lettuces? Oh, here are the rabbits. For every garden, you have a garden pest. The next page. Who do we see here? We see the zebras, we see the giraffes, and we see some bird guys. I think those are ostriches. And we see Mr. Noah with a hat. Mrs. Noah opened the gate to shoo them out. She was shooing out the rabbits. There they go. Mrs. Noah opened the gate to shoo them out. Oh, what a sigh when she saw. "Oh no, Noah!" she sighed. "I didn't think you'd go this far. Are you really going to load the animals onto your ridiculous rescue ark?" Noah simply nodded. The nod of someone who is very, very sure that they are doing the right thing, however foolish it may seem. And Mrs. Noah got to thinking, if Noah really was right about a flood, and if he really needed to save the animals, ... if you really needed to save the animals, then what about her vegetable garden? So she set to work. She made little bags to put over the seed heads to collect the seeds. And I don't see any here. But that is what farmers do. They like a little tea bag, and you put it on like a little sock, or like a little tea bag, or like a little spice bag. She put little bags over the seed heads to collect the seeds. She put rhubarb into pots and raspberry canes into pans. And she dug up fruit trees and wrapped up the roots in saplings, earth and all. Just like that. That's a fruit tree. And here she is. She's replanting different things. And here come the animals. And I think she asked the animals to carry some of the plants. She's pretty smart. Then she got the animals to load her vegetable garden onto the ark. You see an elephant with a box of green stuff. We see a bear carrying a tree. And I believe this is a donkey, and he has saddlebags. Oh, and then the rain came. That was a sad day. Here's Mr. Noah and Mrs. Noah. They're on the ark, and the rain came. It was a sad day. The very next day, the sky had been clear for so long, all of a sudden it turned cloudy. From the shelter of the ark, everyone watched as the puddles grew and then joined up. Mrs. Noah dabbed her eyes and watched one forgotten tree float away, cradled in the old pumpkin vine. Perhaps it will be all right, she said. Plants can be very determined to survive. And it's raining. And that's the plant that's floating away. And it was sad. Inside the saving ark, it looks like they were cooking. This is an imagination story. But she had to eat in the ark, that's for sure. I don't know if it was as cozy as this. But then it was time for getting on and keeping up the household together on the ark. Once the vegetables for stew were nearly chopped and simmering, Mrs. Noah had time to plant some seeds. And there's two, I think these are roosters. And there's probably two rabbits. And there's two of a lot of different things in here. And she's making her seed garden now. She's making a new seed garden. It's still raining, but she's making a garden on the ark. The rain was astonishing, and a flood spread over the whole world. As the days turned into weeks, the seeds grew. They produced leaves and fruit and yet more seeds. Out on the deck, the trees bore another harvest. What would have happened without all those lovely fresh vegetables and fruit? Mrs. Noah said proudly. We'd have vitamin deficiencies, that's what. I don't know what this guy is. I think he's a lemur or something. I think. There's a monkey's eating the grapes. Look at that. That's neat. Oh, and the rain is finished. And here's the ark. And through Mrs. Noah's diligence, now they have almost a whole garden up on the roof. Even when the rain stopped, the ark was left alone on a sea of water. The plants grew and grew. Mrs. Noah's vegetable ark grew more magnificent, even as, unnoticed, the flood ebbed away. Then, here's the top of a mountain. I think it's Mount Everest. Boom, boom, boom. What was that? And they all fell. Whoa, what was that? One day the ark ran aground on a mountaintop. Then everyone had picked themselves up and tidied the scattered vegetables. Noah sent out one of the doves to look for land. And here shows like the crash when they landed on the mountaintop. And this is the dove. Usually a dove is a sign of God's peace and God's provision. I love that. It came back with a fresh green twig in its beak. That could only be from my tree, cried Mrs. Noah in excitement. And Olive was the one we forgot. After all, I did prune it for the flood so that it would produce fine new shoots. Well, my dear, said Noah, God only told me to take care of the animals, but we can all be glad that you took care of the plants. There's Mr. Noah, Mrs. Noah, and they're watching the dove come back. And the dove came back with an olive shoot for peace. Here they are. And the ark is up here on the top of the hill, on top of the mountain. Soon the world was dry. A rainbow spread from heaven to earth as the animals dashed away to find new homes. Mrs. Noah was able to plant a new vegetable garden as the world grew green and beautiful. And here's Mrs. Noah and Mr. Noah, and they're planting. And here's the box. And here's the other animal having a snack. We saw little smaller ostriches at the start. Now these are bigger maybe. And since these are further away, the elephants appear small. And these are giraffes. You know that they're very big, but they're far away, so they're small in the picture. And here's her garden. And here's her garden. She's taking all of the garden stuff out, which is really great. And the end. Noah built the ark based on God's command, and then Mrs. Noah planned ahead and figured we need some food on that ark, and she participated even though she thought her husband was crazy. And that's Mrs. Noah's vegetable ark. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Love you.